have an argument with Daniel Cormier. And in the argument, you must understand, I am in defense of Islam. I'm defending Islam Makhachev, but the fact pattern and my entire point is that a future civilization looks back on this time in MMA. And the fact pattern is going to be that Islam was offered a fight with a guy named Ilia Topuria that is so sincere in his desire to fight Islam that he leaves his belt behind. He is so sincere. He wants to specifically fight Islam. He don't want to fight for a world championship. He's already a world champion. He don't want to fight for millions of dollars in pay-per-view and main events. He already has all of those things because he brings the belt. He's literally going to take a pay cut because he is now not, just so you understand how UFC contracts work, he is not defending a title, Ilia. So Ilia's sincerity, not to just go up, not to just test the waters, to fight specifically Islam Makhachev is documented. It was documented through the media. Ilia called him out many times. Ilia went to the media and began to pick a fight with Islam. And it was surprising all of us, and none of us really thought that he was all that serious. And so many people it's very fashionable to be into this champ thing. Like, that's just like this thing that people are into. Only after all of these things happen, and you must follow the timeline, does it then get revealed to us, the audience, that he has quietly already told the promotion, I am never going back to 145. Get on with it. The promotion had quietly already booked the replacement fight. They had already booked Volkanovski taking on Lopez. So when it gets revealed to us, the MMA fan, you have no choice but to take Ilia Topuria as sincere. Whatever in the hell power you want to put on the word sincere, he at a minimum was truthful with us that he wanted Islam. Okay, whether he could beat him, whether that was a wise decision, is all a subsequent argument. We're only discussing his sincerity. Now, when Islam gets confronted with this proposition, and there's never been anybody that's called out Islam. On Islam's way up, I remember Ali Abdelaziz, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Coach Nurmagomedov, all these guys were speaking up for Islam, but nobody was calling Islam out. Guys were having to face Islam. Some poor guy, once every 4 months, 3 times a year, draws Islam. That dude didn't want to fight Islam. That dude wasn't calling out Islam. The guy at the press conference, the guy on the stage, the guy at the weigh-in facing off with Islam was not calling out Islam. Nobody wanted a piece of this guy. When he becomes the champion of the world, you heard his name come up a couple of times, but it was by some guy that either couldn't get the fight or was already signed to fight somebody else and they weren't going to make the fight. There was nobody with a level of sincerity that wanted to fight Islam. And then along comes Ilia Topuria, who the pound-for-pound rankings say is pretty good. Who Chael Sonnen, Jon Anik, Joe Rogan, Daniel Cormier, and I believe Kenny Florian, all had as fighter of the year for 2024. Ilia Topuria stopping Volkanovski, stopping Max Holloway. And we all had a stand back. Brendan Schaub, I believe, and all put him as fighter of the year. And that's a pretty tough guy that all of a sudden wants that pound-for-pound ranking. And Islam did not want to do that fight to the extent that he too left his division and had his belt taken away. Now, if you stop me right there, you would miss a little bit of the intent. Islam, when he started talking about going to 170, when he started talking about, hey, if it's not Blow, if it's Jack or Kamara or anyone, whoever it might be, as long as it's not my buddy Blow, he was not armed with the information that Ilia Topuria was knocking on his door. I get that. But it's not the way a future civilization is going to be dictated this story. That part will be left out. It's one of the things when you're Islam, when you're a purist. Islam is not in this for the fame. He's not in it for the money. Neither was Khabib, neither was Coach, rest his soul, Nurmagomedov. They were competitors. And that's very true in the Russian spirit. But because he was quiet, because those guys did not speak up, there is not any documentation that you could find, even by going to Google, that will show you that he was prepared to be stripped and leave the division prior to being called out by Ilia Topuria. I am factually accurate and correct on that. But when this story, my version of this story that I just recapped for you, got retold, it said that Chael Sonnen said that Islam was a coward. Now, I must tell you, I don't apologize for anything, ever. I will claim things that I didn't do because I'm that much of a badass. I didn't call him a coward. I just didn't. And if we're just telling the story the way that it happened, so I get a phone call yesterday from Ali. Now, Ali's my friend, but he's Islam's manager. If Ali's got to take a side here, right, at some point business is going to come into it, he's got to roll with Islam. He calls me up, he said, and I could tell by Ali's tone and his accusations, I could tell that he did not hear me say it. He had heard the way it was reported by somebody else of what I said. And Ali was quite annoyed that I would say this about Islam. Okay. Now, you got to hold that thought. You got to hold that thought because, see, it's not about money. It's not about money with these guys. Later that same day, which is just yesterday, later that same day, big article comes out. Khabib spends his Conor McGregor purse building a training facility. And they show it. I mean, my goodness, this thing was so... Back up to Ali. Do you want to know where I met Ali? I met Ali, I believe it was in 2001, at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. It is the finest training facility on the planet. There is a reason that the United States, every cycle when the Olympics comes around, wins more medals than anybody else. And that can only be contested, do you know who? China and Russia. China, Russia, and the U.S., every quad will trade gold, silvers, and bronze medals around. I bring this to you because when I see this facility that Khabib built, it's not as big as the Olympic Training Center, but the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs is funded by the United States Senate. It is an endless budget, and I'm telling you, Khabib's facility was nicer. I could not believe, I'm talking about they got a waterfall, I'm talking about it's multiple stories, they got this beautiful parking lot, and Khabib's in there training these fighters, and you will never get that money back. As much as we love MMA guys, what are you going to do? If you sign up every single one of your friends that wants to do MMA and they're willing to come in and they're going to pay a $99 a month fee and they're going to come in and the only thing you promise them is they're going to get punched and kicked in the face and legs each day. How many of your friends you think is going to come? I mean, what kind of a business do you think that you can turn into MMA? It's this incredibly difficult thing, not to mention any boy that comes through that door that doesn't have the monthly due, Khabib will not turn away. Khabib's father told him, don't ever charge a boy who doesn't have a dad. I mean, I'm just telling you, like when you talk about goodness of your heart, when you talk about doing something for very pure reasons, it can't be questioned. It can't be questioned how sincere Khabib is about training and grooming people in the style of the mixed martial arts. And training and grooming people, turning boys into men, and using mixed martial arts to do that. But see, this tie in why Ali would call me and have a problem with somebody else saying that I said Islam was a coward. It's a very honorable situation. I would never apologize. But I didn't call him a coward, and I don't think that he is. But, and there is a but, everybody's got to live with the story that you're creating. It can be a very cold world. Most people in this sport don't ever get to call themselves champion. They don't ever get to be rich. They don't ever get to choose whether they do it or they don't. They're fighting to get to the next paycheck. And I'm only sharing for you along that vein. I did tell the story right. Ilya did give a belt up. That's how sincere he was. Ilya did come after Islam. That's how sincere he was. And right now, it's all moonlight and canoes. And if Islam bumps up and he takes out Jack or whoever's standing there, that could be Kamar, that could be Bilal, that could be Leon if we were to do this a year ago, whoever is standing there, if Islam goes up and he beats them, this becomes a moot point. We revisit this only in the event that Islam fails, because the question then, guys, is where does he go? Does he stay at 170? Now he's ranked number 5, he's ranked number 6, couple of good wins, Khabib speaking up for him, Ali making the right phone calls so he can get himself back into a title hunt, or does he pull back down to 55? It's not a different question than Ilya's being asked. If things don't go well with Ilya against Charles, what does Ilya do? Does he stay at 55? Does he see if Islam comes down, they get this super match someday? Or does he go back down to 45 where he already knows that he's king? I don't have the answers to these questions, but neither do you. But if you attempt to tell the story any other way than the way I just laid it out, you're the one whose fact pattern is wrong.